When is someone gonna tell this girl that she's too big to be riding ponies? I'm sorry, dude. Like, you gotta stop. I'm sure Harlow's probably watching this video, or perhaps her parents are. Someone has to break the news to your child, okay? I'm sorry. As heartbreaking as it was, I used to ride ponies too. You gotta grow up. Hey bitch, and welcome back to another Raleigh Reacts video. If you are new to my Raleigh Reacts series, these are videos of me reacting to mostly horse abuse, but it can really be anything at all. All of these videos are just video submissions, so make sure to send videos for me to react to raleighreacts@gmail.com, right up there on the screen and in the description down below. As some of you guys know, I'm actually getting married in just 49 days, so my wedding is really close. If you guys would like to see some behind the scenes or wedding planning, I'm probably going to show and talk about some of that on my Patreon or YouTube members, so definitely follow me over there if you would just like to support me and kind of see more behind the scenes of my life. Also, a massive thank you to this video's sponsor, which is Ana Luisa Jewelry. As you guys know, all of my jewelry is from Ana Luisa, and we recently launched the Raleigh Link Ana Luisa collection. I took so much time and preparation to plan this collection, as well as the Ana Luisa team. I'm so proud of this collection and every piece of jewelry that was well thought out in advance of what I wanted on my collection page. All of this jewelry is just so beautiful. It's eco-friendly, sustainable. I love the company, and the jewelry lasts for such a long time. I really highly recommend it. As you guys know, I wear their jewelry in every single video of mine. So I really appreciate everyone who has purchased from this collection so far. If you're interested in checking them out or buying anything off the website, it's going to be the first link in the description down below. So definitely head on over there and check them out. But we got a lot of stuff, a lot of juicy content to get into today. Let's go. I think I messed up my lip.
Now here's a little horse right now to see our picket men kind of positioning themselves, because anything can happen during that time period when they move in. That horse could kick out. They ride with padded chaps out there. Okay, heads up, coming your way, boys. Now, got a loop on him. Now what are you going to do with them? Okay, there he's got him. Now,
hey, them panels don't move, buddy. Look at, I walked about like that last night.
You were staggering, I'll tell you what.
That's exactly how I looked.
Well, and you know what? These cowboys and cowgirls, ladies and gentlemen, they love the livestock. They care about the sport. And as you see right there, they do anything right there. How about a round of applause for their quick work here this afternoon? Great job that they do.
I think the thing that I hate the most about rodeos are the idiotic rodeo announcers. I hate it when rodeos year after year abuse so many animals repeatedly without fail. And I love it how the rodeo announcers always talk about how much they love the animals, how much they care for the animals. They make all these jokes. It's their job to keep the whole event lighthearted, kind of manipulate the audience as to what they're seeing and letting them know that it's okay. Oh, it's okay that we broke that calf's neck because he'll be fine. We love our animals. We have the best veterinarians. It's funny because being in vet school, I have yet to meet a single veterinarian that condones rodeos, which I think is pretty telling. A lot of the veterinarians, it's speculated that the ones that work at rodeos are heavily paid, because most vets that do work at rodeos talk about seeing just some of the most horrendous injuries they've ever seen, blunt force trauma injuries to animals. And it's really quite terrible. I don't want to get into how abusive rodeos are because I already made a video on it. So if you guys want to go see the video I made, feel free. It's a lot. I mean, I show a lot of really graphic content, but I think that overall it's a really necessary video to watch. I honestly don't support rodeos, and I haven't for a very long time. Rodeo, at the end of the day, is just animal exploitation, even down to the barrel racing. You're just exploiting horses. That's all you're doing. You're doing it so you can get a cash prize or a saddle or a ribbon, whatever it is, and your animal is suffering because of that. This was so irresponsible on so many levels. He roped the horse around the horse's neck and cut off the horse's trachea. The horse was unable to breathe. And that's why the horse collapsed to the ground, because the horse is already exhausted. And then you cut off the horse's airway when the horse is already breathing heavily. It's only going to take a few seconds for the horse to drop to the ground. He cuts off the horse's airway. It only takes the horse about 5 or 6 seconds before it collapses to the ground, which is something that you see oftentimes with horses that are already physically exhausted. And then they had to run over and take all the tack off because the horse probably had tack strapped ridiculously tight. And then the horse is miraculously able to come back to after probably passing out for a few seconds, and you can see the horse wobbling. Now, I'm not there in person to really give my full opinion on the matter and what I think is happening, but that's what it looks like to me. The horse immediately collapsed to the ground, was unable to breathe. They finally went over and took the rope off, and then the horse is struggling to walk now because the horse had already previously passed out and is trying to regain its footing, trying to regain breath because it was basically choked out. Whoever lassoed this horse, whoever that guy was, should be fired. They should never let that guy work at rodeos ever again. That guy's actually a risk to animal safety, because you should never lasso horses around their neck like that. I don't care what anybody wants to say. It's incredibly easy to do serious damage to horses by lassoing them around their necks, and it's easy to cut off their airways and cause serious trauma and damage physically, and also death. I've seen horses die that way by being choked to death. It's not uncommon, especially at rodeos. The only thing that's more depressing than the idiots that abuse animals openly at rodeo are the idiots that attend rodeo to condone animal abuse.
He's going exploring.
I can't decide what's more upsetting. The fact that they definitely injured a very small young horse, or the fact that they're all dumb enough to be laughing about it and probably going to repeat the behavior. I can't even begin to tell you and explain the level of damage, not just psychologically, but physically, it does to a horse that small for somebody that large to sit on them. You know, you hear a lot of people say, oh, even a heavy person could ride like a light person, and a light person could ride like a heavy person if they didn't know how to ride, and if the person who was heavier did know how to ride. There's a flaw with that, though, because you can't sit there and say that heavy people can ride small horses as long as they have good equitation, because there is a limit to that. Yeah, you might be able to be 20%, maybe a little bit over 20% at the most, which is max. I mean, you should really only be about 15% of your horse's body weight, including tack, to ride them. If you are a really, really good rider who is very well balanced in the saddle and able to take pressure and weight off your horse's back, then you can kind of push the limits a little bit to where you could weigh upwards of 20%, maybe upwards of 22, 23% of your horse's body weight with tack. But I would cap it at that. I would not go beyond that because there are physical limitations to horses. You cannot just put a 300-pound person on a 1,200-pound horse and think that that's going to be okay and it's not going to hurt the horse because the rider rides really well and has good balance and equitation. You want the horse to be comfortable. It's not about what's the max load that a horse can carry. It's what makes a horse the most comfortable. And this rule only applies to healthy, fit horses, not skinny horses, not old horses, not horses with injuries. Only healthy and fit horses can carry a max of 20%. Most horses need to carry around 15, including tack. When you see people who do stuff like this and they think it's funny just because it's for a few seconds, you can do serious physical damage to a horse in just a few seconds. It only takes a few seconds for bones to break, for muscles to tear, for nerves to be pinched, for ligaments to snap. It only takes a few seconds for injuries to occur. So people who say, oh, it didn't hurt the horse, it was just a few seconds. First of all, you don't know that it didn't hurt the horse. You should have never been on the horse in the first place. They were just traumatizing the pony. They were just getting on for a laugh, and the guy ripped the horse's face off. The poor pony was so scared and so confused and had no idea what was going on, and these people just did it for a laugh. That's evil. When you're just torturing a horse to get a laugh out of it, and you're laughing at the fact that the horse is struggling to carry you and is in physical pain, you're evil. This brings me to my last video, which I'm saving it for last because I've really been debating if I'm going to make a video on this. Because here's the thing, guys, I really don't like talking negatively about other equestrian YouTubers, especially kids. I don't like talking about children. I find it weird already that Harlow has a YouTube channel, and it's just weird. Family vlog channels are strange, and they're basically just exploiting and profiting off of their kids. But a lot of people for a while have been wanting me to react to Harlow, and I'm just gonna do it in this video and just be as nice as possible, but a lot of people have been wanting me to react to Harlow being too big to ride Cloudy, and I definitely think that children should not be watching Harlow and thinking that it's normal for her to look a third to a half of this horse's size and be riding him.
She's shoutout. Is that right? Yeah, good. Number 2 is...
So all of last year, Cloudy wore a titanium mask and earplugs, and he had none of that today because the mask is kind of a bit like his comfort blanket, and it was so loud in there. It was very echoey.
You know, I give barrel racers a lot of shit for their horses being very badly mannered and behaved and stressed out, showing physical signs of stress when they're entering arenas to run barrels. And I would be absolutely wrong and hypocritical for not pointing that out when it comes to Harlow. Cloudy is walking around the arena exhibiting the same signs and symptoms of a stressed out barrel racing horse. There's no difference here. This is a horse that's incredibly stressed, and I honestly feel bad for him. This is not excited behavior. I mean, a lot of people think that this is excited behavior. They're like, oh, the horse is so excited to go run and jump and run around in circles. No, that's not what this behavior is. That's not what this horse is displaying. He's displaying very stressed out signs because he knows he's been through this before. It's the same as if you see a barrel racer walking their horse up to an arena, and then the barrel racer wants to say, oh, my horse is so excited to go run barrels. No, your horse is just stressed.
And in Cloudy's whole racing career. So he was very, very revved up. He was so excited and overwhelmed because the mask is kind of a bit like his comfort blanket, and it was so loud in there. It was very echoey, and the crowd was massive.
Here you go.
She literally is taller than this horse, sitting on top of him than what he is. From the tip of her head to the saddle, she is taller than the horses. And it's not even just Harlow. Everybody there, all the other kids are way too big to be riding these Shetlands. And before anybody comes for me and says, well, they're thin though, they probably weigh within the limit and they're riding well, so they're taking pressure off the horse's back. No, again, like I said, there is a limit to that. You can't be a third of the horse's size and say that it's okay because you're taking pressure off the horse's back. That's not true. No. Physics disagrees with you. Moreover, another huge misconception is that Shetlands have denser bones and are therefore able to carry more weight than an average horse. Not only has this been repeatedly disproven, it's just medically inaccurate, and this is a claim that people make to justify overstressing these horses and going beyond their weight limits. One study that was examining the difference in bone density between normal horses and ponies found that the density is unrelated to the amount of weight that the horses can carry, and that the denser bones in smaller horses is largely related to them having a heavier body frame on smaller legs, not them being able to carry additional weight on top of their own. Again, the back structure and anatomy of these horses remains exactly the same as normal size horses, with 20% horse to rider weight ratio capacities. Moving on to speak about Harlow's size, because I know a lot of people are going to say that she weighs within the 20% rule. She actually doesn't. So her Shetland's size, or the average Shetland size, is around 400 pounds. He could weigh more or he could weigh less, but it doesn't matter because she's over the 20% rule either way that you look at this. A 20% max weight carrying capacity, including tack, for a 400-pound Shetland is 80 pounds, including tack. Harlow is estimated to weigh around 90 pounds. This is not something I'm making up. This is actual statistics found on the internet. Her horse to rider weight ratio with Cloudy is around 24%. So she's not even within the giving range where she might be pushing it. She's way above. Not to mention that you also have to take in the height issue, because being a super large person on a small horse can also throw the horse off balance. So for Cloudy, a 15% horse to rider weight ratio would be 60 pounds, including tack, and this would be the optimal carrying capacity for a horse that is the size of Cloudy. You can't just put a third of a horse's weight on their back and say that they're comfortable, but oh, they're comfortable because the weight is stable and it's not bouncing around. I mean, that just sounds ludicrous. It sounds like the dumbest thing you've ever heard in your life. And I wasn't gonna say anything about this last year. I could have, but she honestly was too big to be riding this horse a year ago. She's definitely too big now.
This is really nice, isn't it? With the tape, beautiful is coming
Yeah, man. And they're going to sit there and say that the horse was so excited to go and run and do this. Immediately, as they started running, he ditched one of the jumps and he didn't do it. This horse doesn't want to be there. Probably none of these horses want to do this. They're super anxious. Harlow is just grabbing the crap out of the horse's face. You know, people hate Day by Day. You guys would be hypocritical to let this type of stuff slide. Firstly, same thing as Day by Day with Sophie. They are allowing an extremely large child to be riding a horse that she's visibly too big for. It's the same thing as Day by Day when Sophie was riding Flynn. Also, this horse is highly stressed and doesn't want to do this and has already ditched one of the jumps. Listen to your horses. They speak to you. They just speak silently.
So we've got a quick replay here. I didn't ride this strong enough, and I personally think he was a bit afraid of the crowd, and yeah, it was a bit unfortunate, that whole thing, but I decided to carry on the race as I didn't want to stop and then that make a bad habit, so he could learn he can just run out and the race stops. So I carried on the race. So let's see how it goes.
Oh man, I really feel for this little girl. I really do. The way that she talks about this, I mean, she's been so heavily manipulated by other people in the horse industry. She didn't want her horse to form a bad habit by thinking that he could just get away with not going over a jump. There's a myriad of reasons why that horse chose to not go over a jump. It was intentional. He chose to not go over it. Horses should not immediately be punished when they choose to not do things that are unnatural that you want them to do. And this is the type of mentality that you start to see with people who only care about competition riding. Well, I didn't want my horse to think they could get away with not jumping the jump, so I forced him to go over the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And it wasn't until 5 months down the road when my horse went permanently lame that I realized there was a serious issue and reason why the horse wasn't wanting to do it. I'm not saying that this horse has a serious physical issue. He probably just doesn't want to go over the jump because she's too big. It probably hurts him that she's riding. It probably hurts every single one of those horses to be ridden by kids that are a third to a half of their size.
Unfortunately, we were disqualified as we didn't go clear, but I was so proud of him because that was our first ever massive, it was quite scary for him, I think, and it was very fizzy in there. It was his first ever big race of the year, but I was still so proud of him. Last season, when we went into the racing, he came in quite slow and a bit sticky and just not really willing to jump. So I was so proud of him for coming in this year and going straight into it. And he was so fast. Dude.
These kids are as tall as the adults that are standing next to them. These are adults that are standing next to these kids, and every single one of these kids is as tall as the adults. I mean, seriously, is this only acceptable because these are kids? Because I guarantee you, if these adults who are the same size sat on these horses, everyone would have a problem with it. But everyone's just okay with this because these are kids, even though they're the same size.
So that's literally the fastest I've ever seen him go in a jump race. But now it's time for the lap of honor, and I must say,
look at how much better behaved all the other horses there are over Cloudy. I mean, this poor horse is obviously so stressed out, he can't even stand still. I honestly feel really bad for this horse. I wonder if all they do is just race him around constantly. He behaves almost worse than a barrel horse. At least barrel racers can get their horses to stand still when they're done barrel racing. This poor horse can't even stand still. He's so stressed out that he's so antsy he can't even stand. I mean, what even is this? about this family is so weird. I feel like the mom forces her to just be better than everybody else all the time. And this kid probably has a lot of pressure that she has to live up to and expectations that are just unrealistic. When is someone gonna tell this girl that she's too big to be riding ponies? I'm sorry, dude. Like, you gotta stop. I'm sure Harlow's probably watching this video, or perhaps her parents are. Someone has to break the news to your child, okay? I'm sorry. As heartbreaking as it was, I used to ride ponies too. You gotta grow up. You have to grow up. You have to move up to bigger sized horses. I wouldn't tell my 6'5" fiance that he can ride Link. Okay, there are weight limits to every horse and size limits to every single horse. So that's pretty much all I had for today's Raleigh Reacts video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't go give Harlow any hate. It's really just her parents and they know better anyway. But I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.